Hello, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media world, Gab, Twitter. I don't know, wherever the hell you're watching it these days. Welcome to another edition of Musings with MGL. Like, subscribe, click the notification, comment, ding, 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 all the standard stuff. Get that out of the way first. Hopefully today is the day that I can earn your subscription to follow my channel. That being said, I'm going to get into today's topic, and it's kind of a weird one, although it's not super weird. It's something that we all kind of know, but I always want to make sure people are using the right language and making the right argument. So when you're out there and you get in an argument with someone who's an anti-gunner, you want to make sure you're using the correct language and you're making the correct cogent arguments. Or when you're Facebooking or trying to convince people or whatever, you want to make sure you're doing everything correctly. And so one of the things that I always like to point out to people is when they say things like Democrats are anti-gun, or liberals are anti-gun, or Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg are anti-gun. And what I like to point out to them is that's not true. It's not true. Those people are not anti-gun. What they are is anti-private gun ownership. They're all for guns in the hands of the people that they want them to be in the hands of, such as their private security, the Capitol Police, the military. When they're in charge of it, they don't particularly like it when, the other party is in charge of it. But those people are okay to have firearms. Even themselves, I guarantee you that you would probably find that a lot of these people who are, quote, anti-gun probably have their own firearms. If not, they certainly live in a house with somebody that does. But we all know that they don't hate firearms. The Capitol has been surrounded and protected for the last several months by people with guns. The Capitol is protected every day by people with guns. The president, the Speaker of the House, all of these people are protected every day by people with guns. Even outside of politics, when you see things like Hollywood celebrities talk about firearms and wanting to ban firearms, yet they again pay private security to have firearms. So what they really want is you not to have a firearm. They're okay with their high-priced security guard having a firearm, or the military who's protecting them, the politicians having the firearm, or even the Hollywood celebrities. They generally are okay with police having firearms, except if they're pulling black people over, I guess. Then they don't like the cops having firearms, I think. It's kind of a weird... They have a weird relationship when it comes to law enforcement having firearms, because, again, if it's the Capitol Police carrying firearms to protect them, they're okay with that. But if it's, the Minneapolis Police or the Chicago Police carrying firearms, patrolling the masses and the citizenry, they don't like that. So what they like is people with firearms that they can control that are using firearms to protect them. So they're not anti-gun. They're anti-gun ownership by the wrong people, which are usually private citizens, or private citizens are in a certain political party or in a certain point of view. So it's very important to keep that in mind, because, again, I see it all the time online where people are like, oh, why is this person anti-gun? But they're not. They're not anti-gun. It's an important distinction, because it's important to remember that, because, again, when you're making the arguments, you want to make sure that you're addressing everything correctly. And it points out their hypocrisy. Now, I know they don't care about their hypocrisy, because all politicians are hypocrites, and most movie stars and those people are hypocrites, again, because they have people protecting them with guns, but they don't want you having them. But it's always good to point out hypocrisy when you see it. So it's important to make sure that you make that argument with somebody who you claim is anti-gun, or they're claiming is anti-gun. Those people are not anti-gun. They're anti the masses owning gun. They don't want the little people owning gun. It's like everything else. It's for me, not for thee. So you run into the same thing when you talk about something like socialism. They want the rest of us to live under the concept of socialism while they still live in their mansions with millions of dollars. You get someone like Bernie Sanders, who has multiple houses, but he tells everybody else that they should be socialist. So that's the hypocritical thing, because, once again, it's for thee, it's not for me. It's for me, or I get to have it and you don't, so for me, not for thee. But it's always for there's always the political class that gets to have whatever they want. And it's important to point that out to people when you're discussing that. So that's my lesson for the day. If you're going to argue with a liberal or an anti-gunner, make sure you use the right language. But it's always, everything is for thee, not for me. So none of these people are anti-gun. They are anti-you having a gun. They are anti-me having a gun. They are anti the masses having a gun. But they are not anti-gun, because they are happy to have guns in the hand of whoever they want them to be in, as long as it's somebody that they are paying directly or somebody who works for them on behalf of the government, like the Capitol Police, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my thought for today. Like and share, comment, et cetera, subscribe. Thanks for watching. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay vigilant, and carry on.